You're watching Dr. Amir Sankofa Kwele live. Make sure you stay tuned, hit that like button, and subscribe. It's going down.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Lock down my little heater. I think I have a couple of things going on here. Number one, it's hot outside, but I am cold. So I choose not to be selfish for the rest of the family because I'm sure they're cold. Oh, well, kind of hot, which is why the air conditioner's on. But I'm kind of cold, so I have my little heater feet thing for me. So, excuse me. Anyway, um, many of you all, of course, welcome to, this chat with you. And I certainly want to do some chatting with you, and hopefully what I say finds your energy, and hopefully you can get with this. And if this is not something you want to talk about, then that's what's up. That's cool. I'm not forcing you here. I'm not tying an arm around. I'm not tying you. I'm not holding you down to say, hey, stay in here because I said so or else. And that's not what I'm about. So if this is not something that you may or may be interested in, then see your way out. This is not an attempt to coerce anyone into becoming a tarot reader or anything like that. I don't advise anybody to do it because, again, my theory has always been either you have it or you don't. And some of us have it and some of us don't. So, hey, I'm not into that. And then I'm not also into hearing people's like, oh, yeah. I think some of the most annoying conversations I've had with people is that they'll be like, yeah, 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 I'm in tune, I'm in tune. Okay, well, number one, or you give me a confirmation of what I already know. So if you already know, why you asking me, right? So the things is the things work is this. I'm getting a little warm now. I don't know what that's about. The things that work like this. Okay, people are going to feel whatever way that they tend to feel about their life. And that's what's up. And I'm accepting of that. I am a person who understands how life works in that respect. However, I also feel that people have a right to do what makes them happy. And for me, I'm not saying that this does or does not make me happy, right? I'm just telling you it's a gift. It's not really to have it. Most anybody can pull out a deck of cards and go cards, right? It's just like playing cards. When you play cards and you win, you lose, you draw, whatever, right? So for me, I don't necessarily need to have the cards. Sometimes I just may have on my possession on my person, but that doesn't mean I necessarily use them for each and every reading that I do, because I do it professionally. I'm a professional tarot card reader. I am a professional healer, right? So to be honest with you all, I did not, when I first started reading tarot cards, or once I realized, better yet, let's go back. Once I realized that I had a intuitive gift, if you will, once I realized that I knew how to read people, once I knew I had the what they call an eye, once I had an eye for seeing things that probably the normal human being may not have been able to see for whatever reason, right? So once I established that I had that, and once I got further into understanding that I had this gift slash curse, because in some ways it is a gift, and in some ways it can be a curse because of the things that you can tend to see. And sometimes you don't necessarily want to see things, and sometimes the spirit won't allow you to see things because sometimes you can block yourself off because of too much pain, or because you just don't want to believe something. It's just like someone, here's the thing, it's just like being in a situation with someone that you know is not in the best fit for your life, right? You know, like a relationship. So you can get with someone and you like, your spirit, your intuitive energy basically tells you like, hey, uh Renee, whether you're a female, male, monkey, dog, cat, whatever you are, your energy can sometimes tell you, hey, such and such is not the best person for you. Your energy is already telling you that. And of course, you don't want to admit to your energy, like, hey, or you don't want to make other people know that they're right, especially if other people are telling you and you recognize well, right? So those things can happen. So what happens, the spirit, the energy is no different than that, because your energy, your intuitive self is already telling you, like, hey, this is not, what you see is just what it is. It's a cat. It barks like a cat. You know what I mean? Not barks. What am I talking about? It meows like a cat, barks like a dog, right? So your intuitive self is already revealing to you what the situation is, and it's up to you to want to listen to it. And that's basically how somewhat the understanding of the tarot is. So in a lot of cases, once I began to start picking, so once again, once I started really picking up the tarot, I would say I was around in junior high. I would say I began to start really dabbing into the tarot cards and understanding, and originally when I first started reading, I did not go with the intuitive energy of wanting to necessarily read the decks as follows. What do that mean? What do I mean by that? For example, you may pull out a deck and it may have death on it. I did not necessarily always go after the card or really even know what their meanings were, right? Some things are interpreted as behold the follower, the meaning the reader, and some things are just based off what the knowledge of the person that has created the deck giving you, right? So there are many quadrillion, thousand, billion decks of tarot card readings out there. There are a gazillion ways of reading energy in people, right? Through tarot decks, also through uh, tea tree leaves, tea tree. What am I talking about? Through leaves, tea leaves, right? And also bones. People use bones. Some people use runes. There are so many different ways to read and interpret people. And actually, I've made cards. I had my grandson when he was very little to draw on the cards, and I just basically interpreted it that way. So those are probably the cards that I mostly use through any other decks that's out there. These fancy dancy decks. Only time I really pull out my show decks, and I call them my show decks, is probably when I'm in person. But but due to what's going on here on this life with the coronavirus. And it's not really always about the coronavirus at this point in time, is that my spirit, my energy right now is just wanting me to do most of my readings and things like that, because I have different clients all around the world, whether they be in via Africa, China, wherever, as well as my local autonomy, my local area, as well as different people. So for the most part, I've been settling into, and yes, I do have my own spot. I've been doing most of my readings here on the telephone because that's where I basically feel comfortable, because I really want to be in my own home and I really want to be able to connect to other people. And I know a lot of times people want to sit in the same room with you, and I just don't. I don't always feel comfortable with that because I'm reading all these different energies because I am heavily in tune. And some of you all may want to sit in the room with other people and do all that, but I don't want to. It's for my own spiritual preference, guidance, and my own energy of protecting myself. And yes, I know how to ground, and grounding, of course, is very important, but I choose not to do readings in person at this point in time. When I first started, I never really felt comfortable in doing readings in person where I used to. But it was a pressure. It was more because I was, how you doing, Nola? How you doing, ma'am? I was pressured into doing readings just for the money. But once you begin to start making money, and once you begin to start doing things that you don't want to do, it's not going to be within the best interest of yourself. It's not really about that particular entity or person, right? So for my energy, for my own protection, and how I feel safe and how I get down, and what makes my energy feel good is not really being around people like that unless I have to. I'm just going to be honest with you, unless I have to. But the life coaching side of me, sometimes I will do life coaching sessions in person. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. But the way everything is right now, I really don't want everybody in my healing center because of the, I know a lot of people are like, oh, the corona is everywhere. I know y'all president done told y'all, how you doing? That the president has told y'all that corona is over with, but aha, I hate to tell you it's not. So, and if anybody coming into my healing center, what that's going to mean once they get exposed, once if they're exposed to corona, and then they come into my spot, and then what that means is I'm going to have to take off time. I'm going to have to take two weeks or whatever amount of time it is, and that's selfish of me. When I have a kid, right? I have a younger kid. I do have grandchildren that frequent to chill with their granny. And of course, above all else, I have a husband, and guess what? Self-preservation, I have myself. So I'm not taking that chance. And mind you, I do give out many of my clients different herbs, and I do actually have my own metaphysical shop. So that means is I'm going to contaminate my space, my healing, my herbs, and all that other stuff due to somebody want to sit in my damn face. How about you're crazy? No, thank you. So with that said, let's continue on. Now, again, as I was saying to you before, and going back to when I was in junior high, I first got my first set of tarot cards. And of course, back then it was these like gypsy cards or some sort. I still have them actually. And another thing, I don't really like telling people the tarot cards that I have. And actually, to be honest with you all, I have a whole giant um, autumn of tarot cards. And it's filled to the rim. So I have a different styles, and I still do purchase tarot here and there. Sometimes I try to get them and feel the energy of them. And every tarot, I have not found a energy tarot card that I absolutely would forever use and not use anything else. Meaning, I found different tarot cards that I felt very comfortable with, that I thought were cool, that I liked, that I felt the energy. I can feel the energy off of anything. So it's not that. But what happens is, I'm talking about on a consistent basis. I've never felt totally in love, mad, head over heels like I feel for my husband, like I feel for my children. I've never felt any cards that gave me that feeling. I felt the cards that they may have given me the good feeling of, oh, I can read this, I can interpret this card, I can feel the energy of this card, I can give this beautiful reading to these clients. Yes, of course I've had that. That's beyond question. But we're talking about living with the card. I'm talking about sleeping with the card, falling in love with the cards. I'm talking about wrapping up, becoming one with the cards. No, never have felt that. I've never felt that. Only cards that I've pretty much felt was the ones that I told you about that my grandson made for me when he was very, very little. I'm sure he doesn't even remember. He just colored on them, drew some pictures, and blase. Those were the cards. Those are the only cards that I really felt totally connected to. But for the most part, all these different type of cards I like. I was like, oh, this is really pretty. I like the artwork. I like the energy off of them. I love the energy off of them. Understand what I'm saying? Let's listen to my voice. Listen to what I'm saying. I am telling you that I have felt and I've loved the energy off of each almost every card that I've used, like probably for the exception of one or two that I the energy was like, I still was able to use them, but I didn't like them. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not that I'm talking about head over and heels in love with the cards that I wanted to marry them. I've never felt the marriage with the particular cards, like I said, the way that I do. So, anyway, so going back, I digress. And going back to the cards, as I stated to you before, the cards I first got, they were like some little gypsy cards, and then I started getting little rider cards. The rider cards are simply the very first cards that was really created. The gypsy cards came, about in the gypsy era, right? Because back when a lot of gypsies read, used, told your future, etc. And you would go to a carnival, and the gypsy would pull out the mat, whole thing, crystal ball. I am I see your future, and then they have this gypsy accent, etc. Right? So, hence they created the gypsy cards because, and like again, those are pretty decent cards. I enjoyed those energy off of those particular cards. I was like, yeah, I kind of like these. These aren't really bad. Yada yada yada. So I connected with them to a point. It wasn't like I was writing home to them. So excuse me. So what ends up happening is when you are connecting to these amazing um, cards, sometimes you when you're reading them, you are asked to understand each interpretation of the card. Now, I'm not, as a professional tarot card reader, I'm not telling people that they have to. I would advise people. I, I'm not telling you, but I would advise. I would make a suggestion. I want you to really understand what the meaning of the cards are. It would make perfect sense to do that and not do it the way that I did it because I did not know the meaning of the cards when I first started. I did not know the meaning of whether it be the pinnacles, um, whether it be whatever, you know what I mean. The devil's card, obviously, the devil card is not always interpreted as someone evil being evil. Sometimes it's just the opposite of just that. Again, it depends on what the scenario is, but that's a whole nother thing. You have to take my tarot card class in order to really understand the total meaning of that, in the breakdown of that, how a lot of times people can interpret things in a different type of way. And again, it goes upon the scenario, the situation. So let me just do a brief uh, tarot card situation. I mean, I'm talking about y'all. When I first started, literally, y'all, they'll the homeschool way because I've learned how to do them as I got older and started becoming more advanced with them. I did actually learn the proper way of how to read tarot cards. And listen, there's not necessarily a proper way of doing things, right? But I did learn the standardized way of how tarot cards are read, right? The different spreads, the different kind of fit, the different kind of spreads. But I'm intuitive. I told you all that I don't even need the tarot cards to read. I may pull out the tarot cards because, to be honest with you all, I'm feeling lazy. So when I'm feeling lazy, I'll just pull them out and I will pull out the cards and start reading on the cards. But for the most part, I could be driving in the car, I could be doing this, I could be doing that, I could be cooking, I could be doing any whatever I want to do in the midst of me reading someone's energy because I'm good and I'm not I'm not bragging. I'm just giving you facts, right? But what happens is, when you're going through different skill sets, as a healer, or as anything in your profession. So let's say, for example, you are a fisher. So it would make sense, you as a fisher, to learn different ways to fish. You don't want to just do it always your way. Sometimes in learning different techniques, and you can add to what you have already, or when you're dealing with certain people, you want to try this particular technique, or whatever the case is. It's nothing wrong with trying to advance your studies, or advance where you are here in this planet, or this life force, or this monopoly board, or this vessel that you're clunking around with, or this thing that we call life, right? Mm. So you want to learn a different way of doing things. And in your profession, you should always learn about different tarot cards and how they are ran. I had a associate of mine, and I don't mean, not because she wasn't a friend or anything like that, but we were, I would say, I don't want to call us co-workers, but I can't say we're co-workers, because I didn't work for anybody. She didn't work for anybody. She worked for self, and I worked for self. So we were colleagues. I would say colleagues. So we're both colleagues, right? She did her thing, and I did my thing. Um, so with her, she pretty much, and this was back in the day. This was like eons ago. This was over 30 years ago, or so. And she was one of those ones who were a by the book type of healer. That is not me, ladies and gentlemen. I am not a by the book healer in no way, shape, or form. Okay. I know how to do stuff. I learned how to do stuff the standard way, or sometimes I just know how to do it my way, and then I learn how to do it the standardized way. Right. So anyway, so she'll break down all the cards and stuff like that, yada yada yada. So in a standardized tarot card set, you're gonna find the major cards, right? The major cards, which determine the big picture of your life and the long term direction that you need to go in, and that will be the main header cards. They will be called, because there are technically 78 cards that come in. Now, of course, with us being 2022, and perhaps before then, many people have created different forms of tarot cards, and that's good. I'm glad that they did, because what that did is it did open up. It was a bad thing, it's a good thing. The good thing is it did open up the gates for different people to become tarot readers that didn't want to go this standardized route. And then it also opened up the gate for people who wanted to try and do new things. Okay, and not saying always bad, not saying a good way is bad, right? We're just saying that no necessarily right or wrong, but we have to be careful about. I think the wrong thing is sometimes when the interpretation of things can be kind of cloudy, especially when it comes to two main cards. Before I go there, the two main cards, which are a very, which can be somewhat a scary, which could be the most scariest cards in the deck for me, to me, when you're doing readings. When you're giving readings, the death card is a very scary card, because you don't want to interpret someone's death or life, because that's one of the same. That could be a life and death card, okay? That could be you giving or a baby card, you know. Um a baby, you could tell someone, hey, you're having a baby, and that's not necessarily so. It could be that they're giving life or giving birth to something, which is a project, which could be a project, or it could be someone near them that's pregnant. So we have to be careful about what we tell people. And then when it comes to death, we definitely for sure want to be careful of that, because that doesn't necessarily mean someone is dying or someone close to them is dying. It also can mean that you're killing the negative energy is dying, or you are being rebirthed. because you went through a traumatic experience. You may have lost a loved one, or your lover or mate may have walked out on you, and because of that, you are now rebirthing yourself. You're starting over. So something, and then also death can also means that something is coming to an end. So you could have gotten out of a very bad traumatic relationship, or you could have gotten out of a bad job, or you could have gotten out of a bad situation, or you may have lost or you may have left your state or left your apartment, right? So there is the major one and there is the minor one. So for example, the major one, the major chords, I'm just going to give you a couple examples because hey, you need to take the damn class in order for me to break it down to you further. I'm not going to teach everything, right? So I gave you one. The devil would be one of the major cards, and one of the most cards that you will commonly see in most decks, okay, would be the um, fool. The fool is a standard card that you probably will see in a lot of readings. Okay, now you are going to experience, and then see when we start getting into the minor cards, we will be talking the different how to call them, the minor, basically the minor cards, but there are different schools of minor cards. So for one, that you have the wands. So you will see cards with the wands on them. Sometimes they will have a person on them. Sometimes they'll have a certain number of wands, and each number and each wand has a representation of something. So for example, you may have the ace wand. So and then you have the numbers, and so that's technically one. Ace would be technically one, but not for real. But that's a whole nother story. Y'all have to take my class to get it. Okay, I'll break it down further. But so you have ace, and then you have numbers 1 through 10. I mean, I'm sorry, 2 through 10. And then of course you're gonna have the side, the what I would call the kingdom cards. The you have the knight, the queen, and the king. And yes, these, and if you notice, these are very similar to what? Playing cards. Duh. That's where people can read from. People can read from the playing cards. Duh. Okay. Yes, you got it. And then I'll have the page, right? So each deck will consist of that, all the houses of the minor cards. So then you'll have the cups, right? And then there will actually be cups. You'll see cups where you'll see this person with a cup. You might see just a whole bunch of cups, whatever, the amount. Then, of course, then you have the sword cards, right? And those are exactly the same. You see swords, and those have a different meaning. Now, let's go back to the wine cards. Now, with the wine cards, they're going to have that's going to be about action. That's going to deal with the initiative. That's going to come into what you have been and what's going on and how you move through your life. And this is going to be also a discussion of move, stagnation, and stuff like that. So it's going to let you know how to move, and it's going to let you know, hey, this may be the energy that's holding you back because of XYZ, right? Okay. So those whole suite, they call them suite, by the way, a whole suite of cards. Okay, and so then again, I talked to you about the cups. The cups are going to be dealing with your emotions. That's going to be dealing with your relationships, and it's going to be dealing with your intuition, your intuitive energy. Okay, and so it's going to help you. Those deck of cards are going to help you to understand your feelings and to be able to sort your feelings out and through. Right. Then you have the sword cards, right? And again, you're going to see swords, 2 swords, 10 swords, not no 12 line, et cetera, right? And all of them have the crown, the cords of the crowns. I mean, the kingdom, the empire, of course, what I call empire, queen, king, and stuff like that. People that's on the court. Not everybody that's on the court, but you get the gist of it. Okay, let's move on. So that's going to be dealing with the things that you're going to be the things that you go through. What are your challenges? What can you do within your mind state? How can this help you get out of this jam? And for you to pay attention to what your so-called challenges are. So if you get these are your challenges. So you're faced with your challenges through these cards, right? And the pentacles. Okay, so the pentacles are going to be pentacles. They're going to be like coins. Okay, these are the coin. These are what they call the coin cards. Okay, and so of course they're going to consist of what I just said earlier. If you're listening, you'll get it. So this is going to be dealing with, guess what? Finances, your money, your work, your personal life, right? And this is going to be dealing with your goals, your money, your family, your health. How are you going to get out of that? And these are where the questions come in too. So if you draw a particular coin, it will kind of break down to, card that has the coins on the pentacles or whatever. It will certainly break down how you doing. I don't need no man tell me I do. It will go into explain to you how do you get to this level, how do you observe this level. And so the bottom line is 78 cards. 78 cards come in the normal deck, centralized deck. Okay, so you're going to have the first, which is the major. Those are going to be consist of 22 cards. And the rest of them, which they will call the minor, and that will consist of 56. Okay, and then each suite, as you may know, will come in 14 cards. And then you will have the number 10, like I just told you, including 10 cards, right? And then you have like the court of cards. So the court of cards will be page, knight, queen, and king. Period. Bottom line, etc. Not really major about that. And sometimes when you're doing these cards, when you're doing readings, you have to understand that everything is not always as it seems. So just because you pull out, like I said, the two most important cards, and so one of the cards, and then if you get into for example, when I talked about the pregnancy card, so a lot of times the high priest is somewhat of the fertility card. So that sometimes when you see that particular card, that can imply pregnancy, but that's not the only card that implies pregnancy or giving birth or life to something, right? The high priestess, right? So now every card is going to be interpreted in the way that you may think they are. So just keep that in mind. And the devil may not always be a devil, but then sometimes the devil can be a devil, right? Or evil, So that's basically what I have to say on that. So I just kind of wanted to share that with everybody just to get them to know. So to take my class, of course, you will go to www.ask314life.com. I look so forward to, if you wanted to know more about the tarot or become a tarot reader yourself, I can certainly certify you or show you the ways of how to utilize your tarot cards, or if you just want to use them to read for yourself to make your life improvements and to make you to go a longer way here on this so-called planet and earth violet of what we consider, certainly go to www.ask314life.com. I'll be happy to help you with that. I just wanted to do a little video to talk to you all a little bit about tarot card reading, because I kind of felt that I was kind of looking at my cards today and I was just kind of going over. I have a couple of clients that I will be teaching tarot cards to here lately, and I have a school called Reiki training and certification, and that is a accredited school. And so I have a couple of clients that will be taking the tarot course next month, and I say, well, dang, I might as well get more students to be interested in that. Then I have some other ones that I will be certifying to getting their PhDs. So that's the reason why I say, well, let me do a little quick video on that, and that's just a small intro to how that is pretty much done. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a blessed day. And thank you so much for coming out to listening to your Dr. Sankofa Kweli. And thank you so much.
Death is a multi-billion-dollar industry. The cemeteries are full of people who've passed from a preventative illness. With the correct approach, you not only extend your chances of preserving your life, but you will improve the quality of your life with a natural approach. The earth provides energy healing herbs for the benefit of mankind.
Hello, I'm Amira Sankofa Kweli here at Ask Life Coaching Ministries. We're located at 1921 West Broadway. We've been in the healing business for over 20 years. To order my products, go to www.ask314life.com. I'm available 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Namaste.